Good afternoon.
Good evening. Welcome to being here.
Yes, welcome to being here.
I'm Ariel.
I'm Shya.
And today we are boldly going.
Yes, we are boldly going.
Where are we going?
It doesn't really matter, but I really enjoy going boldly. Jumping into your life like it's yours, like taking it on rather than
plodding.
Should I, shouldn't I?
Yeah. I've always admired that about you.
Really?
Yes, I really have. I mean, even in the early days, pre-transformation, when we were as transformed as we knew how to be, we were busy working on ourselves, each other, but still there was a quality of grabbing your life and going for it. And yes, I've always admired that. And another thing I admired about you always is your willingness to be you. When Shya and I first met, I was in New York City as an aspiring actress, and I first laid eyes on him when I was, 80, I was 22.
Yep.
And then we started dating when I was 24, but there was something so unapologetically you. And I had the feeling that most of us, for sure me back then, I tried to morph myself into situations to be more liked. So it was almost as if I didn't allow myself to crystallize into who I was so that I could actually see myself honestly. I was always trying to hedge things. And I've always admired you just being you.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
It's nice to be admired, I guess.
Well, admiration may not be the word primarily these days, but I still admire you, not from a point of view of being less, but of enjoying your brilliance and being honored to be included in that.
Well, thank you. Well, this is a nice place to hang out. I mean, I'll hang out with you all the time and feel that way about me. Anyway, we spend so much of our time questioning what we should or shouldn't do, rather than looking what's right here, right now, and jumping in as though it's our idea.
So let's jump into listening today. By the way, since we've said that the final frontier perhaps is intimacy, you want intimacy? It requires full engagement. And here, full engagement is about listening.
But
really
listening is not agreeing with what's being said or disagreeing with what's being said. It's holding that function of your mind in abeyance and allowing yourself to be what's being said as though it's new information, and allowing it to come into you. So you're boldly giving up your desire to think you already know everything there is to know, and comparing what's being said to what you already know. And you never discover anything newly if you know everything already.
You know something else that requires you to give up? Working on yourself.
Yes.
Because if you say something to me and I'm now trying to apply it to myself, or I'm justifying myself, then I'm not listening. I'm working on something other than simply listening.
You have an agenda to change you, fix you, make you better. And the reality is you're perfect in this moment. The only one who doesn't realize that is you.
And listening is enough. It really is.
Listening will pull you past your internal conversation, but you've got to be willing to give that one up. The internal conversation that thinks it knows better.
Let's take our first
intrepid
caller who's boldly going where no woman has gone before.
At least in this moment.
Yeah. Yolanda, welcome to being here. Tell people where you are zooming in from. You'll need to unmute, my friend.
Hi, guys. I'm Yolanda, and I'm zooming in from New York City.
Welcome.
You're looking very lovely this morning.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's actually afternoon now.
Okay, but I just woke up.
So it happens when you get to take a yummy nap.
Right. Well, the night was a long time ago.
Yeah. What can we do for you?
Let's see. So my question today about intimacy is, how can you maintain, or how can I have intimacy when I feel a lack of trust for someone? How do I forget, or how do I try and stay in the present moment when it's someone who...
But look, here's the thing, Yolanda. You've got to give up the right to punish or the desire to punish. In other words, you have to forgive any trespass in the past, because if you hold on to those things that you feel were wrong that the other person did or didn't do, then you bring that mistrust into the current moment. So it all depends on you, you see. It's how willing are you to be vulnerable? How willing are you to be here with another? That's what intimacy is, being with another. Now, it's a euphemism for sex, but it's not. You have the intimacy before you have the sex, and you can have sex without intimacy.
Can you say that again? You have intimacy before you have the sex? I wasn't thinking of sex, but...
And I'm not even sure you were asking the question about your husband or your partner. You may be looking at intimacy with other people, but I have a feeling that it's the lack of, who is it with?
With my mother.
Mm.
Oh, well, then that's the perfect one to give it up with. Really, really, really. Because that's one of those root vessels through which your life travels. Your incompletion with one or your other of your parents will not allow you to have a magical relationship, because you'll end up treating that person like the person you resist.
And you can trust your mom.
She will be the way she is. I don't have the judgments against her that you do. So when I said your mother will be the way she is, there was nothing negative attached to that. It was just an observation of fact. When you repeated it back to me, there was some judgment locked up in that communication.
You're right.
Yeah, well, yeah. But you see, you don't give her the opportunity to show up differently if you think you know who she's going to be.
And let's just pick an aspect. Let's say your mother is always late. This is probably not true for her, but I'm just getting an aspect. So you're supposed to meet her at 2:00 and she never makes it before 2:15, 2:20, and you find this annoying. If you know that that is her style, your annoyance is yours. You've always attached your annoyance for some aspect of her behavior or way of being to her, rather than recognizing it's an indulgence, something you do, and at this point do purposefully because you know this is how she is. So in fact, if she suddenly showed up on time, you'd probably be annoyed also, because now she's doing it.
See, if she showed up without something wrong about her, then intimacy would be up to you, being available to hear what she has to say, rather than, oh, I've heard that before. She always says that. Yeah, it's funny. kids put parents in a box.
Yeah, it's funny how you have a list of grievances. And this is what Shia was saying without even knowing who you were talking about or the specifics. It really is about giving up the right to punish or the desire to punish. It's letting go of that list to see who's actually in front of you rather than referencing back to, oh yeah, that's just like when I was in 8th grade and she did, or that's just like last week when I came. It's about being here in this moment with this individual. The other thing is, if you have an opinion about your mom, about how she is, you will require her to be that way. I remember once, many, many, many years ago, Shai and I were leading a course at the AT&T building down in Manhattan. It was pretty early in our career. And one night we had, I don't recall how many people were there, but there were a lot of people.
85 to 100 people.
The entire conversation morphed into sexuality. People were just talking, questions were about sex. It was pretty in-depth. It was almost like shockingly revealing for some people. And in the middle, this guy got up and walked out, and then the conversation just changed. And about 2 years later, we're leading a course one night, and all of a sudden, for the first time ever since that evening, everything morphed into talking about sex. And it was notable because it was so specific. And this guy stood up and said, I can't stand you guys. I was here a couple years ago, and this is all you guys do is talk about sex. I'm leaving. And he left. And we never, ever had that kind of quality of conversation. Again, there have been plenty of times we talk about sex, but there was his resistance to that topic rearranged his universe to produce it. And there have been other such incidents, but that's just one specific.
Yeah. So you will have your mom show up the way she does, so you can justify having yourself not have intimacy with that person.
But
and blaming it on her. What?
I want to.
Yeah, but then you'll have to give up being right about all the things you think she did wrong.
That's what I said in the very first comment I made was, then you have to be willing to let go of your list of complaints and grievances about what this person did or didn't do. I bet you got a whole list of didn't do's connected with your mom. When your girlfriends, when you're growing up, their mom didn't and your mom didn't.
I remember pre-transformation.
Yolanda, shaking your head yes doesn't work very well on a recording that people are listening to. It sounds like I'm badgering you.
I don't think you're badgering me. And
I'm saying,
you keep nodding and smiling and nodding and smiling, but it's not a video. I know we're speaking to you over Zoom, but it's an audio.
Right. So I agree that I need to go without judging her for all the things that she's probably done.
No. Shai never said.
This is more of the same.
I love that you said it though, that you agree that you need to, you're talking change. Shai didn't tell you have to do anything. He said intimacy requires that. What we're talking about is a non-judgmental seeing and awareness of how you are without judging what you see. So you may be judging the crap out of your mom. It's about seeing, oh, wow, look at this.
But here's the thing, my sweet, you judge the same crap out of yourself. See, you got to be picking on you to pick on anybody else. If you stop picking on yourself, you'll stop picking on other people.
I didn't think I picked on myself.
What's that?
I didn't think I picked on myself.
Well, then don't think about it and look. See, if you look, you'll see that you have conversations with you that are not kind, especially when things don't go the way you would prefer. And
Well,
that,
I'll give you an example of how you pick on yourself. It's not something you've said to me, but something I know, something I've observed. I know that your daughter has some learning challenges, and that from time to time you're frustrated. You would like to be able to crack the code of Mila so that learning is easier for her. And in there, sometimes that frustration with yourself, you wish you could be a better mother to her.
Yes.
That's picking on you.
but I'm sure we could find dozens of things that you pick on yourself about as a way of going about life.
Because you're normal.
You're a person.
If you, in the new age era that we live in, where positivity is better than negativity, we want to self-talk ourselves into betterness rather than look and see how we are in any given moment without judging what we see.
See, if you were to see the way you're being without judging yourself, your life would transform. It's that simple. But you have a yes, no to things. You have yes to what you want and a no to what you don't want. And when life shows up the way you don't want, or don't prefer, or would have it be different, then you lock that stuff in place, because what you resist persists and grows stronger. So as much as you tell yourself you want to lose weight, at the same time, you find yourself eating bagels.
So true.
How's that? Was that good? And I didn't even see your bagel. Plenty of butter and
I
cream
gotta have the
cheese.
butter. What good is it without the butter or cream cheese?
But you can tell yourself to be a certain way, but then you don't listen to yourself. You're normal.
Okay.
And we don't have a problem with your being normal. Really.
Because we're not picking on you the way you're picking on you.
And we're not picking on ourselves, at least most of the time, we're not picking on ourselves.
And when we are, it's a clear indicator that we're upset.
Well, I noticed it this morning that I feel I should have more energy than I do. So I took a nap because I didn't get much sleep the night before. But I think I should be over that.
That's the I. The I is the repetitive conversation that each of us has that identifies ourselves as I. I think, I want, I am. That's your mind.
I like, I don't like.
And then there's the being. And you have the opportunity to notice all the I's.
Without beating yourself for what you notice.
And without personalizing the stream of conversation. I remember once I was visiting my mom back when her health was declining. I believe it was, early in the year that she passed away. And it became clear that she was really sick and I needed to take her to the hospital. But she wanted to get ready to go to the hospital. And so I was quickly eating my eggs because she needed to get stuff together because it was pretty clear she was going to be there for a little bit. And I dropped a piece of egg in my lap, and out of my mouth shot, "Oh, Ariel, you idiot." And I was like, wow, you are upset. And it was shockingly obvious to me that level of self-recrimination was unusual, but it's always on tap. Came forward in a moment of upset. And at that point, I just slowed down and I recognized if I wanted to get her to the hospital without having an accident, I needed to get here. So that part of you that picks on you is not a bad thing. It's an is thing that sometimes comes to the fore and sometimes is apparently non-existent. But judging ourselves or not wanting to see when we're picking on ourselves leads us into blindness.
And keeps that behavior stuck in place.
Because really, if you want intimacy, you start with yourself.
You'll have to be kind to yourself rather than find fault with you. Because if you find fault with you, you're going to find fault with anybody you're in a relationship with, and that includes your mom.
You know, it's interesting. Next week's episode is called Thank You, Mom. And we actually pre-recorded it this morning.
So it's kind of perfect that you came up with that as your question, if you will.
And I started the show talking about how originally I heard a poem that I thought of as a curse, like mirror, mirror on the wall, I am my mother after all. And now I realize it's a blessing when I get to see her in me. And I have a feeling that you have not yet fully embraced the legacy and the grandeur
and the magnificence that your mother
is.
Yeah, you're right.
Just saying. Could be fun.
And you know, look, it could have a profound shift in the way you experience living, because you've been blaming your mom for the way you are forever. And now you're a lady of several, decades. And I'm clear that you're no longer a child, but you're still blaming this person as though they are running your life these days. And they are in your opposition to their point of view.
Ooh, you have some fun times ahead, Yolanda.
They are in the opposition that
you have to their point of view. So if they say up, you say down.
Right.
They say yes, you say no. But it's automatic. It's the automatic 2-year-old in all of us. They said, no, I do.
I remember before my grandma passed away, toward the end, every time I'd go in and see her, she'd go, Ariel, you've gained weight. And I was like, shut up. But she was right. I had gained weight. But I was like, I did not want to hear it. She was honor bound to tell me that I was gaining weight. Oh, life is so much fun. Hey, thanks for being with us today, Yolanda.
Love you guys. Thank you for having
Love
me.
you too.
Love you right back.
Yes, indeed. Okay, here we go. It's time for our listener feedback spotlight, where we hear from one of our listeners about how transformation has impacted her life or his life.
If you want to learn more about our seminars, any of the upcoming virtual courses, visit transformationmadeeasy.com.
That is transformation made easy, easy.com.
I love it.
Thank you.
This is Anina in Switzerland. And one thing I particularly love about transformation is the options it gives me to meet whatever life brings me. That I can, if I choose, get upset, but I also can take other options, like looking at it and going with it, saying not yes, but yes, and.
Do you want to have well-being with consistency? Connect with people all over the world from the comfort of your own home at Ariel and Shya's lively interactive Living Made Easy virtual seminars. Join any of their 2-hour online events or take a deep dive into the magic of being you at a virtual weekend seminar. Come on, let's connect. Find out more and register at transformationmadeeasy.com.
This weekend is our seminar.
Leap into life.
It's not too late to leap. You can join us. It's from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So figure it out in your time zone if you're in a different time zone. It's going to be amazing. I'm very excited about the people we have joining us who are practicing leaping into the moment, leaping into life, and to boldly go into being themselves. The following weekend seminar is on June 11th and 12th.
It's called New Beginnings.
Starting new. Right now is new.
This moment is the beginning of the rest of your life.
Next week on Monday and Tuesday, we have Living Made Easy seminars, and then not again until May 14th. We're heading out of town. So if you want to find out our full schedule or join us for anything, register for Leap into Life or New Beginnings or anything else, just go to transformationmadeeasy.com. Also, shout out to Lenore. This particular episode, the suggestion for it
To boldly go.
was boldly from you. So thank you so much. I'm sure people are really getting a lot out of your idea. So thank you so much for being boldly you.
Yes.
Let's take our next guest.
Yes, Emmy.
Welcome to being here, and let people know kindly where you are zooming in from.
Hi, I'm zooming in from Richmond, Virginia.
Welcome.
Thank you. Nice to be with you both.
Nice to be with you too.
Thank you. Well, I love the topic. I found myself, saying yes to joining before I even knew what the topic was about. And then when I looked at it, go boldly into and discovering maybe the new frontier of intimacy in myself newly, I've attended every seminar that you've actually ever given that had the word intimacy in it. So
We should put that that word in every seminar we do.
That's
then.
what we'll do. Creativity, intuition, intimacy.
Right.
New beginnings, intimacy. Leap into life,
yeah.
Etc.
I just might. So I get my question around intimacy. I mean, I love what I was just hearing around mother, but my question really is, I have boldly just got into dating again. And what I find for myself is but I found for myself that I lose track of myself. I kind of get lost and I get into that need to please and wanting to be liked.
Mm-hmm.
I have a suggestion. What if, when you come to a Living Made Easy seminar, let's say a Monday night, I'm giving you a Monday night. You've come to a Monday night.
Yes.
You lose yourself.
Mm.
You lose yourself regularly. You stop thinking about you and start listening.
Mm.
Now, I know that's probably not what you're talking about. You say you get lost in the need to please, but I would say you become aware of your need to please, because just now when you said, oh, there's the I, because we were talking about I, you're self-editing to become a more pleasing version of you
With us
or with the listeners or through this system, because your mind is so smart.
Yeah.
Well, look, I'll be honest with you. I looked at you before a couple of moments ago and I said, there's something going on with Emmy. I can see it in her face. And I thought, well, I wonder how things are going with Mark. because he was the guy you most recently that I am aware of you've been dating. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's either not going the way you want, or it's not as easy as it had been initially.
Yeah, I spent time with him in Gettysburg. We did have a really good time, and he revealed some things to me. And I feel around his situation, and it was around, I don't know if I want to say it specifically, but it brought up fear in me that I could make a mistake. Do I really want to jump in further with knowing this information? And so I find myself kind of holding myself back and protecting myself. And
yeah, and that's what I see, because you see, when we first started speaking about this fellow, you were excited and enthusiastic, and there was all this adventure of what will be. And now that isn't there. It's like now you're being careful, and
Just so you know, careful will absolutely lead to the end. And I'm not saying it may be.
And we're not saying it shouldn't end.
It may be that he revealed something that is a deal breaker for you. And we're not asking you to reveal anything private. That's between you and him. It also may be that it's just triggered your I need to be careful mode. But I do know that keeping a barrier between me and any activity or any individual is already disrupting or breaking the relationship.
So the intimacy is already gone because you've put up a barrier. Now, I'm not saying you should maintain your innocence with this person. If they have given you information that sounds to you that it could be threatening or in some way damaging to your person, I would suggest, you do what's appropriate, which may not be to continue in a relationship. I don't know.
What if it's from like being hurt before in the past, and then
I think we've all been hurt in the past, but the hurt usually is we hurt ourselves.
Shya hasn't talked about it in a while, but when we got our cat was and still is more bonded with me. So Shya would go up to the cat, and the cat would often walk away.
And I'd hurt myself with it. I would,
He would reject himself.
I would self-reject.
And we laugh about it all the time. He's like, okay, you rejected me
Again.
Somewhere in there, you say you've been hurt before. You think they hurt you.
Right. And they didn't hurt you. You punished them by taking yourself away. You hurt yourself.
I'm damaged.
yes,
And you're the reason why.
I can see I'm hurting myself. I can see I'm hurting myself from making this about me, his situation about me. Like instead of really seeing that.
I see it another way.
Okay.
I see it as a self-protective mechanism that when you feel vulnerable, you can bring this in to find fault so you don't have to go any further and be vulnerable.
I thought that actually that came to me is that is a way to not, yeah, thank you. Yeah, what you said, I think what I heard you say was, I can keep it as information that I can use at any time to keep me from jumping in and being actually more vulnerable in the relationship.
That's true.
Yeah.
And
you may be well practiced at that, by the way.
Yeah.
It may be like a well-worn path in the arena of a relationship with you. I don't know. I mean, only you can look and see the way you've dealt with the unexpected in relationship.
Mm.
And if something comes up and it doesn't fit your ideal or your picture of how it ought to go, you probably frequently have pulled out.
I would, even in my marriage, I would use that, like, like I'm out. Yeah. Yeah. I can see that for myself. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That being said, don't now flip the coin. If behavior A happens, your behavior is I'm out.
Yeah.
And the answer to this is not behavior A happens and now I'm going to be in. That's change. It's like A, B, the dichotomy is in or out. It's really about bringing awareness to what is and your truth in this moment.
Okay.
Because, some things really are deal breakers and some things are just like, oh, okay.
Well, look, I know a couple, and the fella used to be a bouncer, and he's a sweet man, but he did things that he was not proud of in his past. He hurt people physically.
But that's not him now, and it's
That's not
never
him.
going to be him.
No, yeah, that's the thing, he has transformed. He's given up that way of relating to himself.
I was flashing on another couple where he used to go to Thailand and have unprotected sex with prostitutes in the heyday of AIDS and come home and have unprotected sex with his girlfriend.
Oh.
And he finally revealed it. And years later, they're happily married with kids. And I think between them, they had to get honest about if that behavior was going to continue, or if his owning up to it was his saying, and that's the end of that type of behavior. And it took the two of them to look personally between the two of them, and nobody else's opinions about the state of the relationship in that moment mattered. What mattered was what the two of them
We're
experiencing and agreed to going forward.
Yeah, wow. Okay. I can see that for
It's
myself.
very easy to say, oh, that's it. I got to end this one.
I picked another effed up one.
I mean, literally, I met a man 2 days before Mark came down, and I actually have seen him once. So I can see I've checked out, like I can see that moving.
Wait. You met another man and you've seen another man.
Yes.
In addition to Mark.
Yes.
Well, it's not a problem.
That's not checking out unless you can't tolerate having intimacy with more than one person. I'm not only talking physical intimacy. I'm talking about allowing yourself to be vulnerable.
I can tolerate that, and I know what pushes, I push up against this good Christian woman thing in my mind.
Yes.
I can see that.
Yeah, Christianity and Catholicism, were you raised Catholic?
I wasn't Lutheran, very close though. Yeah.
It's close, yeah. It's the more.
It has a little less ritual.
Yes. Yes.
But still, there's right and wrong and good and bad and heaven and hell. And those things do mold a person's willingness and ability to step into life,
I
to
remember,
boldly go.
I remember how shocked I was when we built our conference center in Bali, Indonesia, and they would do rituals multiple times a day and light incense and put flowers and pray, but they weren't praying to the positive gods. They were praying to the negative gods because you had to give them their due in order to keep things balanced. It's like, wow, that is not my reality. And they were like, well, you can't have sun without getting shadows. It was like, no, the way we've been trained to think largely comes from
Religion.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm kind of in that. I can see what you, I mean, that's, yeah, we can't have sun
And
without
if
shadows.
Projected, you keep it in place. That's the problem. You can't do your life in opposition to those things you no longer agree with.
You know, I see myself I rejected it when I was younger. I didn't believe that the God was a mean God and that there was all that stuff. I didn't have that real feeling, but so I had a lot of resistance. I was always getting in trouble in church.
Well, sorry.
Okay.
Well, first, sorry that you were getting in trouble for being yourself. And sorry that you had to be at church if it was that way for you.
I loved church.
See?
I did. Of course, our church was, I would sit and draw on they had little envelopes to give, donations. And my parents used to let me always draw on them with the little pencils there. And then we'd go to church school and we'd sing. I loved singing. Singing was cool. And it was never like learning. It wasn't like school. I loved it. It was awesome. So my experience was different. And I got to be an angel in the nativity play.
Oh, that's always good.
That was always good. And my sisters and my mom always cooked for the big events. And we used to run and try and lose her. And then would try and find her by her laugh or her cough, because she smoked a lot then. So she'd cough from time to time. So it was like, let's find mom. I'm telling you, it was just an awful time, clearly.
I did like singing in church.
There you go.
Yeah, I did like that. And we had a young assistant minister come, and he was very playful. So I did enjoy that.
It's interesting how you reference. I know we brought up religion and all that, but I think we did, but still, Emmy, forget what came before, or you can't really forget it, but you can just let it rest, and you can engage here, now.
With no place to get to. See, if you're trying to get better, then this moment is wrong. And this moment can't be wrong. It can only be the way it is.
And you'd only guard yourself out of a history. And if you're really here, in this moment, if you're feeling comfortable being vulnerable, or you're not. You're trustworthy.
Oh,
you are trustworthy.
I'm trustworthy.
Yes, and from there,
you can trust yourself
to interact appropriately with your environment and the people that populate it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I can relax.
Too late. You already did.
I did. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate you.
Pleasure being with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're sweet, Emmy.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate you guys a lot.
Thank you.
We appreciate you too.
Hopefully
A
you
lot.
appreciate you.
Yes, a lot. Yeah. Yes, I appreciate me. Thanks.
Awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Hey, did you enjoy this podcast? We enjoyed.
Absolutely.
And if so, you can leave a review on your favorite podcast app if you feel to. helps other people find being here. So if you feel to do it, thanks in advance. And if you've already left one and you feel to leave another, go for it. Next week's episode, we already mentioned it. Thank you, Mom. I can tell you it's a great show.
Yes.
A great podcast.
We've already been there. That's deja vu.
All over again.
That's
All
right.
right. We'll be back next week. So come on back and
And don't miss being here.